Hello and congratulations, England fans. I imagine you are full of all kinds of emotions, starting with the relief of having passed one of the historical hurdles, of course, not only the penalty shootout, but having won a game in the knockout competition part of the World Cup. Not just that, you must sense that something special is happening, and that is important because something special is happening, and more on that later. Plus, of course, headache, perhaps. I've seen some of the videos some of my friends send me of the parties all over England. But it's fair that you celebrated, and it's fair that you are happy with your squad and the way they played, or even better, the way they competed. And that's where I want to start, because this World Cup will take teams that know how to compete further in the competition than those that think it's all about playing. What I'm trying to say with that is that everything that Colombia threw to the English lads was dealt with in a strong mental way, and they found solutions when they had problems. It's about competing. This is not a beauty contest in which the ones with the best player, or the ones with the better style, or the ones with the better history will go through. So we are seeing that Sweden-England quarterfinals. It does tell you what confirms what I'm saying. But what I saw was I was at the ground, and I saw a roller coaster of, again, emotions that the players must have gone through, the England players. It was, in my eyes, for 90 minutes before the Colombia goal, England controlled the game. That meant that even when they didn't have the ball, they were comfortable. You could see the lines together defending. You could see they didn't really struggle, suffered. They didn't need to, not at that point. And Colombia tried and moved the ball quickly, but I thought, unless Quintero comes out with something, it's not going to happen for them. There were not many chances, and England didn't create a lot either, but more on that later as well. Basically, just when it was a matter of controlling the ball a little bit, England managed to do that. When it was about defending without the ball, without the ball, because you can't defend with the ball. You can defend by keeping the ball. That's something England don't want to do, or are unable to do right now. But when they didn't have the ball, as I said, they were very comfortable. Then another thing, of course, happened during the game. I've heard all the chants and accusations of cheating from Colombia. Interestingly enough, Gareth Southgate says that England starts being good at things that, in the past or in the present, all the teams are good at. That's more or less how he said it. And what he's trying to get at is that England knows how to compete. And if that means slowing things down a little bit, if that means being down, injured a little bit longer than necessary, it happens. That's how football is being played right now. Those are the rules, if you like, the norm. And England was using a little bit of that. Of course, that will be forgotten and not mentioned, but you have to say Colombia went a little bit too far. In fact, I could see how the referee was actually telling them from the first corner, don't hold players, don't do that, I'm looking at you. And I think at some point he even mentioned, if it's not me, somebody else will see you. But Colombia defended the corners and the set pieces as if there was no VAR, as if we were in the past. So eventually the penalty came, and it could have been given before, to be honest. And Kane took it with such a majesty, with such a strength, such power. And you thought, you can trust this man with your life right now. He feels in that kind of powerful mood. So I wasn't scared, and I told my colleagues when we were discussing the penalty shootouts, Kane is going in for sure, as he went in. Anyway, England could have reacted to some of that. They could have, as in the past, there were players that would have gone like, that's not the way to play, and react to it. Instead, they just kept calm. Partly, I guess, not only because of the work that has been put in training, the invisible training, as they call it, the mental talk and all the suggestions about how to deal with pressure that have been happening in the last few weeks. As well as that, there was a calm figure in Gareth Southgate in the technical area. I don't know if it came out in the television often, but he was calm. He was calm even when things got complicated, which was, of course, with the Dier Mina goal, the game changed. It happens. A goal, especially at that point, just before the end of the 90 minutes, it can kill you. And in fact, it was time to suffer. There was an England that started receding, tracking back in the first half of extra time, struggling, and of course Colombia just looked bigger and faster, and the ones who it seemed, with the dynamic that all of a sudden had been created, could have taken the game. But in the second half, the three best chances, I'm remembering Vardy for sure and Eric Dier, was it Henderson as well with the header? It was England chances. So the mind, so important in those moments when it's not going for you. And that was when England crumbled in the past. They didn't in this case. So then you feel something is happening here. And then at the time of the penalty shootout, England didn't feel like they were unlucky to be in that stage. They felt like, okay, this is what we have to do. This is what we're going to do. We heard from Gareth Southgate that, of course, the plan was that Ashley Young was going to take one of the penalties, but instead it was left to Eric Dier, who came on. And I had a great conversation with Eric Dier about penalties, extra time, and the fact that he came on with 10 minutes to go of the 90 minutes, and where everybody's heart's racing 100 million miles an hour, his was obviously not at that pace. So how did you deal with that? You have to listen to this.
You come out minute, what was it, 80?
Yeah.
How is the heart at that point?
Yeah, it's a strange feeling, because when you come on from the bench, obviously you're not involved in the game like the others, so it's difficult. It's a difficult experience. Something that you have to try and take control of to get in the rhythm of the game. I felt like I didn't come into the game in the best rhythm to begin with, but obviously by the extra time I felt better, and we had to go to penalties.
It was that kind of game where the mind was absolutely everything. Before you came on, it was about controlling the feelings of your teammates. Did really, really well.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought we controlled everything really well. It's very difficult playing against these teams. We don't experience playing against South American teams, which have a specific style. Every continent has different styles, and South America is no different. So we don't really experience playing against South American teams a lot. So to control our state of mind the whole way through was fantastic.
So partly because your heart was on 100 miles an hour, when you conceded the goal, were you calm at that point and you thought, okay, there's still extra time?
I think the manager deserves a lot of credit because he's tried to prepare us the best for any situation like this, and we've spoken a lot about situations in games, and so when we conceded, we stayed calm. We knew, it's okay if we have to go to extra time. We have to go to extra time. We were very calm, and I think that showed. And we, even in extra time, we never panicked, never tried to throw everything. We just kept playing in the same way.
And then penalty shootout. Yeah. Be honest, what goes through your head at that point?
Yeah, it's not a nice feeling to begin with. Obviously, while you're waiting to take your penalty, it's extremely nerve-wracking, And
did you volunteer?
No, the manager had his list, and So when you're taking the penalty, it's not nice waiting. But when I walked up and when I was standing there, I felt quite calm, to be honest. Yeah.
Huge relief.
Can you say
exactly.
words about Sweden?
Thank you very much.
So penalty shootouts came on, and I know managers, I've discussed this with them, that think you cannot recreate the tension of a penalty shootout. No point in training them. And I never believed that, because I think the one who trains one penalty will be worse at it, one penalty, say, a week, will be worse at it than those that train 100 penalties a week. There's no doubt about that in my mind. As well as, of course, Pickford knew where the 4 of the 5 Colombian penalties were going to be taken. even though he didn't stop them all. But there was homework there that is also necessary. You have to prepare that side as well. The only one that changed what he thought he thought he was going to take it was Falcao. And England took every penalty brilliantly, including Henderson's, the one that was missed, brilliantly. So I think in this game, England have learned a lot about themselves. I tweeted before the game, this is the game where you're going to find out what England are made of, this England side. And I think we have found out. And a lot of people in my timeline were saying, oh, what have we found out? They didn't play very well, blah, blah, blah. It's about the mental side. It's about competing. They know how to compete. Every game has been different, and they've applied different weapons to every game. So I discussed this with Trippier. For me, one of the men of the tournament for England, alongside Pickford, of course, and Harry Kane. And this is what Trippier had to say.
How many Spurs players were at the end?
3, I think. 3 penalty takers. No, it was a great game, a bit of a strange game in a way. You know, the game management of our team was fantastic. We knew before the game they were going to try and rough us up. We had to be ready for that. The manager drilled it into us, but you know, a great character from the boys today. When they score, extra time, they had the momentum of the game. We just needed to stick to our game plan. You know, keep playing out from the back, keep playing the way we've been training, and you know, I'm just absolutely delighted for the whole team. You know, I love this team, and I couldn't be happier for us.
Did it feel to you that this was the game that was going to show what you were made of?
Yeah, of course. The mental side of it, because Colombia are a very good side, and they had majority of the game, and we just had to be keep it nice and tight at the back. And I think we learned a lot about ourselves individually and as a group. Because you know, in any other games we could have lost this game today, but you know, the togetherness, the shape was perfect, and we learned a lot as a group today for sure.
What have you learned about yourself?
You know, like especially like when they score the goal, they have the momentum. I mean, everybody can see they have the momentum for like 30 minutes, so we had to just stay calm, be patient, you know, and just try and take our opportunities. But you know, like I said, then over the years, maybe England would have lost the game, but today we've shown great character as a group, and special mention for the subs that came on, and Jordan Pickford. You know, I couldn't be happier for him, and obviously Dier scored the winning penalty. There's a lot of positives from today.
Were you talking? I saw you talking to some of the players at the end of the game. What were you saying, and what were you thinking
after the penalty shootout?
Yeah, no, just before the extra time.
All right, just for extra time. No, I was just saying, you know, like just be patient. You know, just keep doing what we're doing, because we'll get an opportunity, and at this level, you need to take them. But no, all the players are so calm in our group, so relaxed, and I was just saying, like, just relax, just take your time. We'll get our opportunities, but most of all, you need to stop it going in our net. So, no, just take your time, be calm, and our chance will come.
All right. Pickford, Kane, and you, for me, man of the tournament so far.
Thank you.
Your performance, I mean, you're happy, obviously.
I'm absolutely delighted. First of all, like, I only made my debut a year ago, and it was a massive season for me last year at Tottenham. The captain, Maurizio, had a lot of faith in me, and you know, I've got to thank him a lot of the way he's developed me as a player and as a person. I've matured. I've got in better shape, and no, I'm really happy with my performances so far. And you know, I just need to keep my feet on the ground, keep working hard in the training field, and just keep trying to do my best for my country.
Next, Sweden. Yeah. Have you seen them much?
Yeah, we've seen Sweden. Another tough game. They've done very well in the position that they're in. And they're another tough team to break down. So we need to go back, recover, look at the game today, look where we made some mistakes, and look how we can move forward and start getting prepared for Sweden. It's going to be another tough game.
Last one. It feels like you are different as a group. The kind of relationship you're going with the manager, the time that you spend, how you spend it. Does it feel very, very different?
Yeah, for me personally, you know, when I walk into this group, it all comes from the manager himself. The togetherness, you know, people, all the staff. It's just little things like when you're having dinner, no phones, the staff mixed with the players. It's just a great chemistry, the whole squad, and what the manager's built here is powerful, and it can go a long way, the togetherness in this team for sure.
Well, all these conversations took place in the mix zone just after the game, and that's another thing you have to say. Quite clearly, the England players feel that it's better if they get us and the public and those that have travelled involved in what's going on. It just feels better. They feel less isolated. It feels more important because you see the effort that those fans made to be here, hence them coming out. Perhaps suggested by the coaching staff, but it doesn't matter because they came out and did selfies with the fans, and they clapped the fans and chanted with them and sang with them. So all that is so important. Whatever happens, this is the way forward. Whatever happens, as I said 2 months ago when I spoke to Gareth Southgate, whatever happens, a new England has come in, and I won't go on about this because you know what I think of it, but it was wonderful to see those players mixing with us. I had the chance to talk to Harry Kane off the record, and a big hug to Gareth Southgate. And of course, I told him, like perhaps every other journalist I spoke to him, that after 22 years of herd, in his particular case, football gives you as much as it takes back. So he gave him what he had taken back from him. It just seems like the script of a movie, doesn't it? When you miss a penalty in '96, but then as a national coach, a job that perhaps you wouldn't have got in different circumstances, actually manages to help him overcome this historical hurdle of the penalty shootouts for England. So they're nice people, they're nice guys. It's enjoyable to see them win. It's enjoyable to see a smile, and with Eric as well, with Eric Dier, it was a big shook of hands, and you could see happiness was coming out of him, and he wanted to share it. He wasn't like, right, okay, I've played my game, and who are you anyway, Mr. Journalist or whatever. So that is wonderful, and it helps. It absolutely helps. So for those of you that are still not sure, I'm not talking about England fans, the others, about England because of the cover of certain newspaper or the certain attitude of certain media, just talking about, the final already, or, the arrogance, I have to say this, the arrogance of the hashtag, it's coming home. Home, football, I must tell you, has got billions of homes. My home is the home of football. Because of United is the home of football. My parents' home, there's a little garden there. We play football there, that's also home. So to actually say it's coming home is suggest that, first of all, it's been away for a long time. Secondly, if it doesn't go to England, if England doesn't win, is it going to be homeless? I don't particularly like that. That I know perhaps is done tongue in cheek, but at the same time, I also feel that yes, there's this impression that finally, football is going where it belongs. Well, for starters, the World Cup was invited in England. But anyway, that's my little rant about that. But forget about all that, because behind all this, at the nucleus of it, at the axis of it, is actually a very good coached, managed group of players who are nice people. Nice people. Sterling, big smile as well from him, and a big shook of hands. And I hope I can talk to him at some point, because I still see that people are pointing out to his form, and I think Sterling is doing a job. Could he do it better? No doubt. But he's one of the players that is out of position. Let's talk about tactics a little bit. He's out of position. This is not his usual role. Central and coming deep, and sometimes being at the level of Kane, that's not his game. But he's doing what he has to do. That, for me, it's where one of the weaknesses of England are. Maguire, I thought he would struggle with perhaps the pacing behind, but he hasn't had that much. The line has not been that high up, so he's been fine. And building from the back, he's been okay as well. John Stones, 1-2 mistakes in the passes, but he's also been brilliant. He's wanted the ball, he hasn't hidden. Walker, we still got to see Walker under pressure, but in any case, that's working better than I expected. But Henderson needs somebody else, I think. Lingard and Dele Alli, and I said it in that famous tweet against Panama, Lingard and Dele Alli are forwards, so they don't have the, how can we put it, the capacity to actually control games sometimes. Pass. Sometimes you have to pass behind or to your side. I think they tend to feel that when they have the ball, something has to be produced, like forwards do. and sometimes no. Sometimes a slow pass behind is better than actually trying to force the situation. They're not midfielders; they are forwards, and I think England needs another midfielder because, especially in the first half of extra time, control escaped them, and they were dropping deeper and deeper and deeper. And it would have been better to have an extra midfield. Of course, you had by then Dier, but he came on, as he says himself, at a different stage of a different phase of everybody else. It's very difficult to actually make an impact there. I think another midfielder should start instead of Dele Alli and Lingard. That's what I think. But in any case, there was the work without the ball was very good from everybody. Harry Kane was outstanding. He just did everything right. Not only he scored a penalty, the 2 penalties really. He dropped deep. There was a time where it was difficult for England to come through the halfway line, and he dropped that deep sometimes. And he realized that he had to touch the ball in places where he doesn't normally do it, but he held it as well when he had to, and he passed the ball too. He found the full backs, opened up the play. It was just brilliant display of intelligence football. He looked so big, so tall, and so confident. He was outstanding. And then, of course, at the time when it was needed, Pickford came up with the goods. Let me tell you something about the Courtois words. They were tongue-in-cheek, some of it. You have to know Courtois. He looked serious. And he was asked about Pickford, and he said, "Well, if this was the goal considered against Belgium," and he said, "Well, I'm taller. I'm about 10 centimeters taller, so perhaps I would have arrived earlier." And then kept talking, and he was asked about it, and he said, and something about the legs. The legs were all over the place, but it was a joke. It was, as I said, aiming to make the people that he was talking to laugh. But of course, all that was recorded, and the tone doesn't get transcribed, does it? And of course, the media, certain media, likes to have villains. Well, they found one. I must tell you that when he realized the repercussions of it, Courtois told his press officer to contact the press office of England and apologize to Pickford. He never meant the way he came out. But it happens. The problem with that, of course, is that the players then become quite defensive and stop saying things or even joking just in case it gets badly constructed. But that's what it is. But yeah, Pickford was fantastic. As we knew powerful with his legs. May not be the tallest, but that save to Uribe's shoot from outside the box was one of the saves of the tournament, one of the saves of the year. And again, he was happy, he was humble. He spoke with the same tone that you heard Eric Dier and Trippier, with humbleness about how he had prepared for the penalties, how he had prepared for this game. So the whole atmosphere, it is like that. It is just guys that feel lucky to be where they are, and they want to share their happiness, and they're humble in the circumstances. Sweden next, that's all they're talking about, of course. Sweden next. What else? Just quickly on as Sweden is next. That will be a different test for England. One which will determine how good the system is, because they will need to have more of the ball. I'm pretty sure Sweden will defend deep and give the ball to England, and it's what they can do with it. And that point, it's what I say, perhaps an extra midfielder will be good, and it will be very important not to lose possession. So again, it'll be a game of patience, a game in which they'll have to feel the freedom to use their talent that Gareth Southgate is talking about, but in this case with the ball. So we've seen they have resilience, we've seen they can defend very well and very organizedly. Can they attack well? That is a question that we haven't properly seen yet. Don't mention Panama. Now against Sweden, quarterfinals of the World Cup, that's where we will see if the system works. And to finish off, I hope you celebrated yesterday. Yusuf, my friend who works in this YouTube channel as well, he was celebrating. I hope he doesn't mind to play the video that he sent me last night, which is this one. wanted you to see the video, and some of you, or most of you English guys, were probably celebrating anyway, so you saw similar images, and you were part of them perhaps. But what I wanted to say is that it doesn't feel, via the videos that I got, via the timeline in my Twitter, via the comments in the YouTube channel, the ones that you can add to this video as well, it doesn't feel like England is winning against somebody or revenging something or doing it to upset somebody. It's about them celebrating a victory that feels like a relief, a historical relief, like in the past, I don't know, when Cesc Fabregas scored a penalty against Italy in the penalty shootout. That was also a double relief. Finally, we won a penalty shootout, and finally we passed the quarters. It felt like that relief. This has happened in one round earlier, but still, it did feel like that. You heard Eric Dier talking about relief. But as I said, in terms of celebration, it doesn't feel like, you're out and look, we're still in. Not at all, not at all. And I wonder if that's also influence of the group of lads that we're talking about that are wearing the England shirt. It doesn't feel a heavy shirt anymore. It feels like it suits them. It feels like it belongs to them. It feels like it's been handed by you England fans to them. There is that connection. It does absolutely feel that. It does in Russia. It does in Moscow. It did it last night, for sure. So with that in mind, yes, I can say it now. I haven't said it before because I thought this is the game where we see England tested. But I can say anything can happen. I'm not saying England are going to win the World Cup. Who knows? But anything can happen, and they are certainly candidates as much as France or Belgium or Uruguay or Brazil are. For me, Uruguay, Belgium, Brazil, France are a better side, better team. But England competes as well as any of them. And this World Cup is about competing. Russia competed better than Spain. South Korea competed better than Germany. Mexico competed better than Germany. Actually, and they played better as well. So this is the World Cup in which everything gets balanced. The democracy of football we see in this World Cup, which for me, having been to, I don't know how many, since 98, is the best World Cup I've ever been. With one exception. For reasons that are pretty obvious. South Africa, 2010. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, and there will be more because we'll still have to analyse other games and other teams. The World Cup is not over. I knew you know it's not over, just that I mentioned that.